So around 2 weeks ago now, I brought you guys my official 2022-23 rankings of every League 2 club's home fans. Now, despite some people not quite understanding the concept of that video and the fact it was based on just the purely incident and the games that I've watched them play when they played against my team Bradford City, some people couldn't grasp that concept whatsoever. So I'd like to reiterate in today's video where we're going to be ranking away fans, it's specifically from their time when they've come to Valley Parade. So I don't care what they've done in the other 22, their league away games. I could not care, to be honest with you. This is simply just from their visit at Valley Parade, alright? If you do go on to enjoy today's video, please make sure to drop a like on there for me. If you could try and 80 likes on today's video, that'd be massively appreciated. Subscribe if you're new as well. We are on the road to 8,000 subscribers, so please make sure you are subscribed if you haven't already with that post notification bell on. It's free to do so and it does massively help out. Drop a comment in as well down in the comment section down below. Your opinion will probably, if not definitely, be different to mine. So let me know down below, who do you think has the best away fans in League 2 and who do you think has the worst away fans in League 2 as well. This is specifically from the 2022-23 campaign, from the time them teams visited Valley Parade, alright? And obviously my team Bradford City is based on the 23 away games, as obviously I went to all 23 away games. Hopefully that clarifies. If I see one comment complaining, then I don't even know, there's no hope for humanity anymore. Make sure to drop a like on there for me, subscribe if you're new as well, and let's get into it. Starting out then with Colchester United, I'm going to put them in the poor category. We played them at the end, it was actually right at the start of March. We scored a 93rd minute winner and then a 96th minute goal once again to secure the win. And considering the distance that Colchester had to travel, I don't think their support in terms of numbers was bad. Their atmosphere wasn't great, but I think I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I think there's a lot of teams who are certainly much worse than Colchester who came to Valley Parade. They obviously didn't score, so that does hinder things as well. But overall for me, I'm going to put Colchester United in at that poor category. Next up then is Leyton Orient. And again, I caused a lot of controversy with their home fans. I'm going to cause a bit of controversy again. I'm going to put them in average. I think their numbers, fair play, they were incredible. Some of the best numbers we've seen at Valley Parade in the season just gone by. Obviously, it was the last game of the season. They were celebrating, winning the league and all that sort of stuff. And they brought a decent amount of numbers. You know, I think they opened up the TL Dallas. Not many teams managed to do that. But 95% of them were all sat down. There wasn't really much noise coming out of the away end. There was a little bit in the minute that they scored up until we equalised. And apart from that, in terms of noise, it was actually pretty poor, to be honest with you. Their numbers are pretty decent, but their atmosphere was poor overall. So that balances out in at that average category. Next up then is Barrow AFC. Now they're very similar to Leyton Orient, just the other scale of things. Their numbers weren't great, but their atmosphere was pretty decent. Obviously they beat us 1-0. Their limbs when they scored were pretty decent. Obviously they set off a pyro as well. And overall for me, I thought they were pretty average. Obviously I caused a lot of controversy putting them in the decent for their home fans, but obviously they scored a 96-minute winner. The result is going to have a big impact on these sort of things. But overall for me, I thought Barrow fans overall were pretty average. Next up then is Crawley Town. They will be the first team in at that tin pot category. They are pretty small club, aren't they? We drew 1-1 in that game. We gave away a stupid foul for them to smash in a free kick on at the edge of the penalty area when Lewis Young was their caretaker or interim manager. I'm not really too sure. Their numbers were poor. Their atmosphere was shocking. And yeah, I mean, their numbers being poor is probably quite polite. So I'm going to put them in at that tin pot category. Next up then is Northampton Town. I'm going to put them in average. If I were to go specifically, I'd put them above Barrow but below Leyton Orient. I thought their numbers were alright. Their atmosphere was pretty steady, to be fair. Obviously they beat us 3-1. They absolutely dominated us. Their performance on that day was absolutely incredible. I think for the distance though, Northampton should probably be bringing more, in my opinion, especially with how well they were doing in at the campaign. But overall I don't think they were poor by any means, so I'm going to put them in at that average category. Next up then is Crewe Alexandra. I'm going to put them in the poor category. I thought for the distance their numbers were quite poor, and I know Crewe are not obviously the biggest of clubs and all that sort of stuff, but their numbers were poor. The atmosphere was poor. It was a 0-0. It was a really boring, frustrating game because Crewe came for the point, parked the bus all game, and they managed to get that in the end. Their home fans were pretty decent. Their away fans, for me, from the experience that I had from them in the 22-23 campaign, I did think they were pretty poor, to be honest. Next up then is Swindon Town, and I'm going to put them in the decent category. We played them on a Tuesday night. They scored a 92nd or 93rd minute equaliser, so obviously that is going to bump them up quite a bit. For a Tuesday night, I thought their numbers were pretty decent, to be fair. The atmosphere when they scored was obviously really good. Who's not going to complain when they score a 93rd minute equaliser from a penalty, which was never in a million years a penalty. One of numerous incidents at Valley Parade in front of that TL Dallas stand where we were absolutely robbed by officials. But overall for me, Swindon's away fans were pretty decent. Next up is Salford. I'm not going to waste my breath on Salford's away fans. They are the worst in the league by a country mile. Absolutely tin pot. Just let's not waste any further time. Next up then is Walsall FC. We played them at the start of the season, right at the start of September. We beat them 2-1, and overall I'm debating between poor and average. I'm going to put them right at the bottom of average because I know Walsall's away fans can be pretty decent, but they don't bring the greatest amount of numbers. They don't generate the loudest amount of noise. Obviously we beat them though, so that is going to have an impact on things. I think that was when, was it Michael Flynn was their manager right at the start of the season, and yeah, overall for me I think the Saddlers should be bringing more for the distance in my opinion, and I'm going to put them in at the average category. Next up then is my team Bradford City, and I was really critical of our home fans, but our away fans are a complete different breed. Top tier, no questions asked. I wouldn't say we've got the best. I would say there's people that have teams that have other better away fans, but for me personally, I think we certainly deserve to be in that top tier. If there's a game which is 2.5, 3 hours maximum, our fans are absolutely incredible. Obviously we need a good performance on the pitch, but having first-hand experience of our fans for all 23 away games last season, I think they were absolutely incredible for the large majority of things, and I think for our away fans we should be in that top tier. Next up then is AFC Wimbledon. We played them in the, was it October time? Somewhere around that. It was actually right at the end of September. We drew 2-2 in that game. That was a really good first half performance from Wimbledon. Then the second half they parked the bus and tried to defend, and obviously we scored a 95th minute equaliser. Overall for me though, I thought the Wimbledon fans were pretty steady. I don't think they were anything too stand out. I'm going to put them right at the top of the average category. I think I put them in average for their home fans as well. So they're pretty consistent. Their numbers were decent. Their atmosphere was pretty decent as well. I remember in the 18-19 season when they stayed up on the final day of the season, their fans were absolutely incredible. But in the season just gone by, not quite as obviously dramatic as that one, and I'm going to put them in at the average category. Next up then is Carlisle United. They actually had 2 visits to Valley Parade this season, obviously in the league and then in the playoffs. I'm going to put Carlisle in at the decent category. I thought their numbers were pretty good. Even on a Tuesday night, I think they brought just over 1,000 in the playoffs. They obviously sold out their allocation. Their atmosphere wasn't the greatest, but like what I say, you can understand why, because they didn't even score a goal, and it is hard to really get behind your team if you're either a 0-0 where you're not playing the greatest, or you're losing 1-0 in the playoffs and you're obviously nervous. Overall though, I think it balances out to be decent. If I was to debate between them and Swindon, I would probably put the Carlisle fans ahead of the Swindon fans, but overall for me, I think Carlisle were pretty decent. Next up then is Gillingham FC. Now, again, the context matters here because they were lower half of the table. It's one of the last games of the season. We played them on the 22nd of April, our second to last home game of the season, so I presume it'll be one of their last away games. They had nothing to play for. They scored a 97th minute equaliser, but considering the context of scoring a 97th minute equaliser, I think their fans were pretty poor. Poor numbers were expected, to be honest with you, but an atmosphere when they scored wasn't really there, to be honest with you. And I get it was more of basically a pre-season friendly. It was a dead rubber game, so you're not really got too much to celebrate. But considering the distance and all that sort of stuff, I think overall I'm going to put them in at that poor category. If I was to debate between them, Crewe and Colchester, I'd probably have Gillingham right at the top of poor, but they are still in that poor category for me. Next up then is Grimsby Town. They are in the top tier category, in my opinion, alongside Bradford City. Their fans are so underrated. Home fans or away fans, I think they're absolutely class. Every time they come to Valley Parade, there always seems to be a little bit of drama, and when they scored this, we beat them 3-2. When they scored their 2 goals, their fans were absolutely incredible. They opened up the TL Dallas as well. I think they were the only team to fully sell it out this season, so fair play to them. Their fans are absolutely incredible. Arguably the best in the league, in my opinion. I think if Grimsby next season can really challenge for that top 7, they will cement themselves as a top tier, incredible away fans, and yeah, for me personally, one of the best in the league. Next up then is Harrogate Town, and for Harrogate, I don't think they were too bad. They visited us twice in the season just gone by, once in the league and once in the FA Cup. They beat us in the FA Cup, we beat them in the league. Tyreek Wright scored inside the first 60 seconds, and overall, I think it was still pretty tin pot. I'd put them right at the top of tin pot. Obviously, it is a little bit of a Yorkshire derby. I know that a really, really small club, but they got nowhere near selling out. Their atmosphere is for the large majority, pretty poor, and overall I think I'm going to have to put them in at that tin pot category. Next up then is Hartlepool United. They will be joining Bradford and Grimsby in that top tier category. I think their fans are absolutely incredible, considering they're in a relegation battle. We played them right at the end of March, on the 18th of March. We drew 2-2 in that game, Dan Kemp and Callum Cook scoring in that one. Both times they scored, it was absolute carnage in that away, and their fans are incredible. Their home fans are brilliant, but their away fans are even better in my opinion. Absolutely class. They deserve to be in that top tier category. Not quite as good as Grimsby, and I don't really want to compare us and Hartlepool because obviously I'll have a biased opinion, but for me personally, I think Hartlepool's away fans are certainly top tier. Next up then is Newport County. I'm going to put them in the tin pot category. They had hardly anyone in that away, and it was only the third game of the season, so it will be either their first, probably their second away game of the season, and they brought absolutely no numbers in. Their atmosphere was non-existent. We beat them 2-0, one of the most comfortable games I've seen us play this season. That or Sutton at home was so comfortable. We knew we were going to win as soon as we scored that first goal. Their performance was shocking. They got a red card as well in the first half. Their fans were shocking. One of the worst I've seen at Valley Parade this season. They were absolutely terrible, and they are going in at that tin pot category. Next up then is Rochdale AFC. We played them on a Tuesday night. They actually beat us 2-1 in that one, and I thought overall Rochdale's fans were pretty solid, to be fair. I'm not sure if it's decent, but I think they'd be right at the top of average for me. I thought, considering where they were in the table at the time, they're coming to a team chasing the playoffs. I thought, their numbers were pretty average. They weren't great, but considering the context, they were pretty decent. Their atmosphere when they scored was good, to be fair, but because I'm basing that on context rather than what I actually saw. What I actually saw was average, but if you base it on the context, it probably would be a little bit higher. I'm going to keep them, though, in at that average category. Next up, then, is Mansfield Town. They will be going straight into that top tier category for me. They scored a 92nd minute equaliser, and it was absolute carnage. Again, another team to open up that TL Dallas stand. They'd probably be at the lower end of top tier based on the season just gone by. I certainly think Mansfield have had better visits to Valley Parade, maybe even in the previous season in 21/22, but in 22/23, I still think deserve to be in that top tier category. Obviously scoring a 92nd minute equaliser is going to cause carnage in that away end, and they do deserve to be in that top tier category for me. Next up then is Doncaster Rovers. We played them on the opening day of the season, and I think it would be harsh to put them in average considering some of the teams that are in there, so I'm going to put them right at the bottom of decent because their numbers were really good. Their atmosphere, though, was shocking. You could hear a pin drop for the large majority of that match in the away end, and even the home end as well, because it was such a boring 0-0 game. Doncaster came to frustrate us, play for the point, and that's what they got in the end. Keane Harrogate got sent off, obviously. Osadibe had his leg broken inside the first 10 minutes as well. It was a really crazy game, and overall for me, I'm going to put Doncaster's away fans in decent. Moving on then into Stevenage. We played them in September at the start of the campaign on the 17th. We beat them 3-0 in that game, although it certainly wasn't a 3-0 game. Their fans overall, though, for me, were pretty poor, so they're going in that poor category. Probably at the bottom end of poor as well. Their numbers were poor considering where they were in the table. Their atmosphere was understandably poor when you are getting beat 3-0, but yeah, I'm not going to waste any further time with Stevenage. Next up then is Tranmere Rovers, and based on what I saw, I'm going to have to put them in the poor category. I know Tranmere's fans can be so much better than what they were. We played them on a Tuesday night. We beat them 2-0. Their numbers were poor. Their atmosphere was poor, but it's understandable considering the context that they had with their season. It was an absolutely shocking season for Tranmere Rovers. I think Mickey Mellon was still their manager at the time, and overall for me, I am unfortunately going to have to put them in at that poor category. Sutton United, they were tin pot. They're going right near the bottom with Newport and Salford. Terrible numbers, terrible atmosphere, and they still had something to play for at the time. If they'd have beaten us on that day, they probably had an outside chance of the playoffs still. We beat them 3-1. We absolutely battered them. One of the most comfortable games I've seen us play all season. And for me personally, Sutton United are going to have to go into that tin pot category. And we end today's video then with Stockport County. Again, they're going in that top tier, joining Bradford, Grimsby, Hartlepool and Mansfield in that top tier category. We played them around October time. I think it was on the 8th of October. They beat us 1-0 through a penalty from Paddy Madden. We played absolutely shocking that game, but Stockport's fans were absolutely incredible. Again, another team to open up that TL Dallas. Their numbers were brilliant. Their atmosphere was brilliant. I wouldn't say they were the best from what I've seen. I'd give them the best home fans, but their best away fans in the league. For me personally, it was Grimsby Town. To clarify then, in the tin pot category, we have Harrogate Town, Crawley Town, Salford City, Sutton United and Newport County. In the poor category, we have Gillingham FC, Colchester United, Crewe Alexandra, Stevenage FC and Tranmere Rovers. In the average category, we have Rochdale AFC, AFC Wimbledon, Leyton Leyton Orient, Northampton Town, Barrow AFC and Walsall FC. In the decent category, we have Carlisle United, Swindon Town and Doncaster Rovers. Then in the top tier category, we have Bradford City, Grimsby Town, Hartlepool United, Mansfield Town and Stockport County. I am going to leave it there though for today's video. If you have enjoyed, please make sure to drop a like on there for me. If you could try 80 likes, as I said at the start of today's video, that'd be massively appreciated. Subscribe if you are new as well. We are on the road to 8,000 subscribers, so please make sure you are subscribed. If you haven't already, with that post notification bell on, it's free to do so and it does massively help out. Drop a comment as well down in the comment section down below. Let me know who you think has the best and worst League 2 away fans from the 2022-23 campaign. This is a final video that I'll be doing that covers the 22-23 season. Any future content now will cover the 23/24 campaign. Thank you very much for watching today's video. Have a great rest of your day. Remember, that was just strictly based on the experiences that I've seen them teams come to Valley Parade with. Thank you all for watching though. Have a great rest of your day and I'll see you all very soon for another one. Peace.